Mazdaspeed is all but cancelled for Mazda as they double down on their journey to turn the brand more upscale. And with this recent announcement from Mazda, we're going to revisit a few, but the venerable Mazdaspeed models. And we're going to take a look at the current state of Mazda as well here in the United States and peer into the very exciting future for the Japanese automaker. Welcome back, Lexurious Fleet. Smash the like button to show some respect for the Mazdaspeed models, the few and the proud. History 101 for Mazdaspeed. Back in 1967, Mazdaspeed actually started as an independent racing team with a legendary rotary-powered race cars like the 787B that won Le Mans in 1991. Then in 1999, Mazda Motor Corporation, Mazda themselves, actually purchased Mazdaspeed and implemented its tuning and special parts into its own Mazdaspeed products. I got a fever, guys, and the only prescription is more spreadsheet. Let's hop on over to the Mazdaspeed spreadsheet that I threw together for you guys. The first Mazdaspeed model wasn't the Mazdaspeed Miata or the Mazdaspeed 3. No, it was actually the most forgot about Mazdaspeed model, the Protege. I love the Protege. I love the Protege hatchback. The wagon looks awesome. Always had a thing for that. But you really don't see a whole lot of Protege models, I should say, in the Mazdaspeed. It was only a sedan, however. I wish it would have came in the wagon. It only lasted in 2003. It was North American model only. Came in right under 20 grand. Front wheel drive, front engine, turbo 4-cylinder, 170 horsepower, 160 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 67 seconds. And you can now find them on the used market for around 5 grand. All right, moving to the only turbocharged, well, at least from the factory, the only turbocharged Mazda MX-5 Miata, the Mazdaspeed Miata, legendary, ran from 2004 to 2005, MSRP around 25 grand. North America, Australian, and Japanese market. Asterisk by Australia because I think they called it something else like the SE. They didn't call it the Mazdaspeed. It was pretty much the same car. It was detuned a little bit, not quite as much horsepower, but it was very, very similar. Turbo 1.8 liter 4-cylinder, 178 horsepower, at least here in the American market, not in Australia. I think it was around closer to 160, 166 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 66.7 seconds. 6-speed manual, coming in at a very low 2,500 pounds, and you can find them on the market now ranging from about $10,000 to $20,000 US. And then we get in probably the most notable Mazdaspeed models, which were the Mazdaspeed 3s. And we had 2 generations. It was really very similar. There were some upgrades on the second generation, but I like the design of the first generation a little bit more. Ran from 07 to 09, $22,800 MSRP. Was a global product. In other countries, they called the MPS. Over in Europe, we just got the Mazdaspeed 3, but it was the same thing, just renamed over there. Front wheel drive, torque steer Godzilla, 2.3 liter turbo 4, 263 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 under 6 seconds, 6-speed manual. First generation seems to be a little bit lighter, around 3,100 pounds. Second generation came in a little bit heavier. You can find the first generation available depending on condition, miles, etc., starting from $5,000 all the way up to $13,000. Into the second generation is really just a refresh with some additional upgrades, but the engine remained the same 0 to 60, maybe got a little bit heavier. And of course, these are going to be a little bit more expensive on the market secondhand because they're a little bit newer. Really the same car. And then the Mazdaspeed 6. This was the most powerful Mazdaspeed model from 2006 to 2008. Came in under 30 grand. It's a global product. It had all-wheel drive. Only Mazdaspeed model that had all-wheel drive was the Mazdaspeed 6. Had the most power, 270 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque. It was really the same engine, just a little bit more squeezing of the juice there to get 274. 0 to 60 in 6.2. I'll put the weight in. Apparently, I forgot to put the weight in the spreadsheet, so I'll throw it in for you guys in the post-production. And yeah, you can still find them on the market for much more reasonable prices over the Mazdaspeed 3s. So I don't know why I put MS4 here. There's no Mazdaspeed 4. There's a typo. All right. You guys probably already put it down in the comments. Kirk, you put MS4. That's not a real car. Okay. Little asterisks here. All models receive upgraded suspensions, brakes, wheels, engines, aero, etc. over the base models. I'm not going to go over into each individual model. I could make a whole video under each individual model, all the upgrades, etc. I'm not going to do that. How do these models compare to current models on the market? So 2021 Miata, It has more horsepower. It's naturally aspirated. Doesn't have as much torque. We do have a faster 0 to 60. It's about 6 seconds. Some people say they can get it under 6 seconds, but I would say what all the data I saw was around 6 seconds 0 to 60 on the new Miata. It's actually lighter. I don't have the weight here, but it's lighter than the Mazdaspeed MX. Comparing the Mazdaspeed 3 to the recently marketed, it just happened this month, the Mazda 3 2.5 Turbo just came out. Information has been a little bit tough for me to find because I don't even know if embargoes have lifted by the time this video is out. But we know it has 250 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque when you put 93 plus octane in there. 3,200 pounds, so it's not that much heavier than the old Mazdaspeed 3. It has all-wheel drive, so that's a big upgrade. 0 to 60, this is kind of an estimation on my part because, again, there's not that much data out there right now. But I'm going to say 6 seconds, which is just a hair slower than the old Mazdaspeed 3s. No 6-speed manual, it's kind of a sad that if it had a 6-speed manual, people would be freaking out. And it does have, gosh, what was it, torsion beam, rear suspension. It doesn't have an independent rear, so that's kind of a bummer. It's not going to handle like a Mazdaspeed 3, but all these years later, the turbo model of the Speed 3, or the turbo model of the Mazda 3 is fairly competitive on paper anyways, all right? And then looking at the current Mazda 6 with the 2.5 turbo, I reviewed that car, loved it. I loved the engine, and it felt like a V8 with the amount of torque. And of course, it's the same engine in the Mazda 3 turbo right now. It's only front-wheel drive, whereas the old Mazdaspeed 6 was all-wheel drive, and 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds, which is just a hair slower than the 0 to 60 in the old Mazdaspeed 6. Now, I could go over sales and things like that. I've done that a few times in the past couple of weeks. I think when we got the October numbers in, first 3 quarters, I've already covered Mazda. They're actually doing really, really well. You can watch my video on it. I'll put that up around my face if you want to watch how Mazda's doing here in the United States. Globally, it's been a tough year for them because of you know what, but here in the United States, they're actually doing pretty well. And we're going to take a quick peek on what is Mazda doing in the future with their engines. You know, so many people comment on my channel because I do make videos on engines, not so much electrification. I do talk a lot about electrification, but a lot of people in the comments come into my videos and are like, any automaker who's investing in gasoline or diesel, they're wasting their money. Electrification's the future. Well, it's hard to argue that, but the future is relative, right? Are we talking about 3 years in the future? Are we talking about 30 years in the future when it comes to electrification? No one really knows how fast it's going to take over. And Mazda's doing something unconventional here. Most automakers are going smaller displacement with their new engines. Mazda's doing the opposite. They're actually going larger displacement. So they're introducing the inline-6 Skyactiv engines, which were all Dynasty. Platforms are going to be rear-wheel drive front engine with all-wheel drive capability. I expect Toyota and their Lexus products to possibly use it. We'll see though, because it would almost be like a direct competitor to Lexus if they're using the same components, right? But they'll figure a way to differentiate the products. I'm not worried about that. However, I do see these products going over to Lexus as well with the rear-wheel drive platform, possibly these inline-6s, especially in the turbo form. Here we go. We have all of these engines currently on the left, all right? This one is available overseas, the Skyactiv X. It's supercharged and it's a mild hybrid, and you can get 55 miles per gallon in it. Your mileage will vary. I've heard that's theoretical. A lot of people are getting much worse mileage than 55 miles per gallon, but that's best case scenario in a vacuum is 55 miles per gallon. Skyactiv X inline-6, again, to be supercharged, mild hybrid, 265 horsepower, 247 pound-feet of torque. Those are rough estimates, but that's going to lead us into the Mazda 6. CX-5, CX-9, or CX-50, they could possibly call it. CX-7, CX-8, whatever they decide to roll out of the Mazda Alabama factory with Toyota. And we're going to see all these engines hit in 2023, is my guess, or late 2022. So we're about 2 years out from seeing these new engine technologies. We need to keep moving. Skyactiv 3-liter, so they're not going to Skyactiv X this, but they're going to Skyactiv Turbo it, and they could twin turbo as well, depending on how much power they want, but 325 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque minimum. That's minimum. That's my guess. That's my guess. It could be off, but I get pretty excited about it. Now, I don't know if you guys are going to get this in Europe, the turbo 3-cylinder inline-6. I could see you guys getting a Sky Active inline six with up to 45, 47 miles per gallon in a vacuum. But since you guys don't get the 2.5 turbo, not sure if you're going to get the Sky Active 3-liter turbo inline six. However, there's some hope, and the reason is not because it's diesel. Apparently they're working on diesel. If they can make it clean, bring it to market. You can check out those numbers real quick, but they could bring the inline six turbos to the global market even if you don't get the 2.5-liter turbo. How can they do that? Well, they have much more availability of plug-in hybrids, and fully electric vehicles. Okay, it all starts with the MX-30. MX-30 is fully electric right now. It also comes in a plug-in, sorry, not yet, but also comes in a mild hybrid. Plug-in hybrids coming with the rotary engine, which we're all excited about to see the return of the rotary. It would work very similar to Nissan's e-Power. Okay, I'll put a graph up for you to get that in your mind. I always like looking at those e-Power graphs. I think they're fun. So MX-30, mild hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or I should say range extender hybrid with a rotary, essentially a plug-in hybrid, right? And then you have a fully electric. Now they could do that with the inline six potentially as well, have a plug-in hybrid with that, mild hybrid. Well, of course, the mild hybrid is standard on the Skyactiv X inline six, but they could even mild hybrid the Turbo 6. Not sure how that would go down though. So while it is sad to see Mazdaspeed become a thing of the past, they haven't officially killed it, but could we see it ever return at this point? I think the chances are extremely low. I would say like less than 5%. The only way I see them bringing Mazdaspeed back is if they successfully weather the transition into a premium brand, be the BMW sporty luxury option from Japan, which is going to be hard to do because Acura does it pretty well. They're getting their stuff together. Lexus is in like a waiting, they're just in a holding pattern right now. It's frustrating, but they're the tier 1 luxury, able to take on Mercedes-Benz, Audi, BMW face to face. They're the number 1 Japanese luxury brand. There's no, you can't contest that in terms of sales, models, success, dealerships, etc. They're number 1. Then it comes, well, what about Infiniti? Infiniti was supposed to be that BMW like competitor from Japan. Well, they succeeded in a lot of ways, but they're not doing so well right now. And my feeling is Infiniti might not be able to weather the storm that they're currently going through. Okay, the QX60 can't come out soon enough. QX55 unveils coming out Tuesday night, so make sure to subscribe because I will be live streaming that unveil. But Mazda can kind of slide in and take over from Infiniti if Infiniti goes under. Could they succeed with Infiniti still in the market? Yes, they could. Mazda is very unique. They're definitely growing, where Infiniti is not. Infiniti's on the downward trend right now. Acura seems to be doing pretty good though in the United States, especially with their new product launch. They're going to continue to grow. Lexus has flatlined here in the United States, but they're doing really well. They're continuing to grow in every single market outside of the United States. But they're happy to sell roughly 300,000 units here a year, and they know they need to revamp their products if they want to continue to grow and retake that number 1 spot. I know my thoughts are all over the place, and I'm just ranting. But I know you guys come to the channel to hear some of that, my crazy thoughts. Mazda can definitely exist in the luxury market. They got a lot of work to do. If you watch my review on the Mazda 6, there's a lot of things that feel premium in there. They do a really good job in a lot of ways, but there are a few things that are really rough-edged, in my opinion, for a luxury vehicle. And they can fix them. They're easy fixes in a lot of those cases. But wasn't I talking about how Mazdaspeed could come out? Guys, I got off on a tangent there. Okay, bear with me. If they succeed and weather the storm as a premier luxury brand from Japan, just like Lexus has an F division, which is kind of fizzled out and died at this point because they don't care about it. It seems because of what we have one F model, the RCF left. But Mazda could have an elite performance division inside of their luxury brand as Mazdaspeed. So BMW has their M division, Mercedes has their AMG, Acura has their Type S, Type Rs, hopefully Type Rs again in the future, fingers crossed. But Mazdaspeed could reprise its role in the future once they've established themselves in the market that they're hoping to be in, which is in that upscale, kind of Volvo-like market that's, unique. They could be more like the Volvo. The Volvo of the Japanese upscale brands. Volvo is very interesting. Guys, I know this video has gone on. My thoughts have been all over the place. I scripted the beginning, as you guys can probably tell, but I like sharing my thoughts as they come to me in front of the camera as well. And I'm sure you guys appreciate that. If you made it this far into the video, definitely smash the like button. Subscribe. If you want to watch the live streams, I want to get to 100,000 as soon as possible, but I'm being patient along the way. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the comments on what you think about the demise of Mazdaspeed. Doesn't really come as a surprise. We haven't seen one Mazdaspeed model in about 7 years, and we might not see another Mazdaspeed model ever again. Fingers crossed they bring it back as a performance brand within their upscale luxury vision for Mazda. I'll see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Peace out.